Hey everybody, Adam-Wilber here with vulpine.creations. Welcome back to the channel. As always, these are not monetized videos, so if you want to support us, please do that over at vulpine.creations.com. And we actually have a new release coming out this week. So that's all the marketing we'll do for you. Let's dive right into today's video, which is talking about walk around. So today's video or question comes from my friend Richie Flow, and he's curious as to touching on the topic of strolling. How do you introduce yourself to a group? How do you interrupt a group? As well as what exactly do you bring to a strolling gig? Well, let's dive in. So this is obviously all subjective material, right? I might perform completely different than Richie Flow does, but I have some, I guess, tips or advice on things that have streamlined my strolling process pretty significantly. The first thing we're going to talk about is walking up to a group, right? So if you're hired for a strolling event, the goal is that that event planner sees you entertaining as many people as possible. So a first rule of thumb, excuse me, itching my eye here. First rule of thumb that I've got is 1 hour per 75 people. If you get hired to do an hour of strolling for 350 people and you're the only magician there, there's only about a third or less than that of people who will actually see you perform. That's not great business. If 2/3 of that event is asked, what did you think of the magician? And their response is, we didn't see a magician. It makes you look bad, right? So you always want to make sure that you're getting enough magic for the amount of people there. Let's say they've got 300 people, but they've only got 1 hour that they can entertain them for strolling. Well, what do? What I suggest to do is hire out a friend, right? Let the event planner know. We always recommend, for 75 people, at least an hour of performing, give or take. So we could do up to 100 people in an hour, but that's our general rule of thumb. If you've got 300 attendees and you want us to entertain for an hour, we're going to need at least 2, if not 3 magicians. Don't worry, I have those magicians in my network, but I just want you to give you the heads up. We always recommend about an hour per 100 people. And then if you get to hire out 2 friends, great. Obviously, make sure those friends are good so they don't put a bad name to you and your brand. But then you hire out 2 friends and everybody's working. So one and the most important thing that I stress to people is make sure you're there for enough time to entertain the amount of people that they've got. On the flip side of that, if they say we have 50 people and we'd like you to entertain for 3 hours with strolling magic, you might be in a little bit of a rough spot there because you're only going to hit those people so many times before you start showing them too much magic, right? Which is a real thing. You don't want to overshow your magic to a group. So just be careful walking that line. And really, it's more about an hour per 75 people, okay? So keep that in mind when you're negotiating with your potential client. So you've got the gig, and now you're walking up to groups of people that are usually in groups of 3 to 5, maybe up to 10, and they're mingling, having a conversation. So you now have to walk up, interrupt their conversation, and start showing them magic. That can be a daunting task, and it's one thing that magicians have wrestled with for many, many, many years. How do you do that? How do you get over being nervous doing that? These are all personal things, but for me, I try and approach a group as friendly as possible, and I try and have a piece of magic that's a great approach piece, okay? One of the projects we're coming out with next month is a lighter project, and there's a piece in there that's specifically designed for that interruption, to walk in there, interrupt them without having to walk up and say, hey, I'm a magician, can I show you a trick? Is there anything wrong with saying that? I don't think so. And normally, before I invented this lighter piece, I would just walk up and I would say, hey, my name's Adam, how are you guys doing today? I'd have an actual conversation. If you follow the guidelines of dress, that you should always be 1 or 2 steps above everybody else's attire. So you should be dressed nicer or a little bit nicer than everyone there. If you follow that, when you walk up to a group in a nice outfit, usually a little nicer than anyone there, they're going to stop and wonder who you are. Are you a manager? Are you one of the staff that's asking a question of them? But you'll usually get that, oh, okay, cool, we'll quiet down. So the more practice you get, the more comfortable you'll become walking up to a group, introducing yourself. I always walk up and say, hey, my name's Adam. Do you mind if I show you guys something really awesome? That's a very hard question to say no to, right? Hey, my name's Adam. Do you mind if I show you something really awesome, something you'll remember tomorrow? That usually quiets the group down, and then I introduce myself as the magician, and I hit him with something quick, fun, funny, and flashy. something they don't have to think too hard about. They don't have to partake in too much. They can just watch and quickly understand, all right, this guy's good. All right, so approaching, there's two real train of thoughts. Approach like a normal human being, have a conversation. Hey, my name's Adam, nice to meet you. Talk to them a little bit and just let them know what you do. Sometimes that takes a little more nerve than walking up with a trick that's built for approach, right? They used to do the color changing knives. The old classic cliche is you walk up and say, did anyone drop a knife? And now you get into the routine, okay? The lighter effect I've built out is similar to that. All right, we're gonna go down to the overhead shot and I'm gonna just walk you through this opener that I'm talking to you about. This is on a project that will be coming out in January with Vulpine, but this is a good example of how you can walk up, show yourself as a magician without having to say, hey, I'm a magician. All right, this is the opener I was talking about. So imagine walking up to a group and I say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did anybody drop a lighter? It's actually kind of a weird lighter too. It's got this polar bear on both sides and it says, how much do I weigh? Anybody's? No? Not yours? No? Well, actually, does anyone know how much a polar bear does weigh by any chance? No? Oh, it's actually exactly enough to break the ice. Hey, my name's Adam. It's a pleasure to meet you. Okay, so is it a bit cheesy and corny? Sure, of course it is. But it also throws them off their game enough to be like, what the heck is going on and who is this guy? And then I go right into a magic trick. So I do this, I stop their conversation. They're all looking around. Did someone drop a lighter? No, 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 no. They see the moment of magic and then I say, hey, I'm Adam. I'm the magician. Let me show you guys something truly awesome. But what I've accomplished is I've stopped everybody from talking in a polite manner, right? I've interrupted them without having to come up and say, hey, I'm the magician. Let me show you some magic. Because some people may think, hey, my conversation's more important than some magician. Not everybody. A lot of people love magic. But to approach a group and say, hey, I'm a magician. Let me show you something. It allows them an in to say no, right? And you don't want that. You don't want a lot of people there thinking they're too cool to see magic. They may have an uncle that performed for them years ago, or a brother, or some corny magician that they know that they're assuming that that's who you are. So don't give them the opportunity to say no. With that said, if you're doing strolling, let's say at a restaurant, and you walk up and it's clear that your magic is not wanted, maybe there's a couple that's having their divorce conversation. Maybe there's a family that just left a wake of a funeral, right? You've got to know your environment and know who you're performing for. So it's okay if you're told no, right? Don't take that offensively, politely thank them and walk away. But 90% of the time, if you walk up, you need to introduce yourself or you need to stop the conversation and then introduce yourself. So this little thing, while it's cheesy and corny, is a great way to do that and instantly show, oh, okay, this guy's a magician, and dive right into it. So that's my real 2 cents on approaching tables, right? The two main things for strolling magic are know that you're going to be there the right amount of time, and then know a way to approach a table where it doesn't feel uncomfortable every single time. It will at the start, but it will start getting easier. If every time you're walking up to a group of people, it feels like your guts are being ripped out, you need to change your approach, right? Because that energy will come off. And when you walk up to that group, that nervous energy, it will be palpable to them. And in turn, they're going to be nervous as well. So it's okay to be nervous at first, but try and work on an opening that feels natural to you that you can grow into and stop being nervous. Whether that's a quick trick to show them or a polite way to introduce yourself by saying, hey, my name's Adam. I'm the hired entertainer for this evening. Can I show you guys something really cool? If they're a fun group that wants to see magic, you're in. If they don't want to see magic, politely thank them and go to a different group, okay? And the last thing we'll talk about is what tricks do you do in strolling? How many tricks should you perform? How long a set should you perform? And how many tricks should you bring to an event? Well, that's again subjective. I'll tell you what I do. I have about 10 different routines that are my strolling routines that I bring to every gig. I spend about 5 to 8 minutes of time with each group. And that gives me enough time to show about 3 to 4 tricks to them. All of your strolling tricks should be modular. So if you need to be interrupted mid-trick, you can walk away. Let me give you an example. An example is ambitious card, because that has multiple phases of magic. The card rises to the top over and over. If a waiter comes and interrupts me mid-performance, okay, they've seen some magic. They're not waiting 3 minutes for the one climax of a trick. Not all tricks can be formed that way, and that's all right. One real big annoyance is when wait staff does interrupt you while you're strolling. If you have the ability, go up to the wait staff before and let them know, I'm the entertainer. If you see me with a group, skip that group for the hors d'oeuvres or the drinks while I'm performing. I always try and do that. It doesn't always work out. But what you want to do is have a bunch of tricks, not so much that you're bringing a full suitcase to the show, but about 5 to 10 tricks. And keep in mind, you're only going to be showing groups 3 to 4 tricks each. So if you had 8 tricks, you'd have enough to show every group in the entire event 2 sets of magic. Normally, you're not going to get there. You might get all the groups, and then handful of groups will see 2 sets from you. So 8 tricks is plenty. 10, I always bring because there's 2 that I like to cycle in. If there's a really fun group, I'll pull one of those tricks that's sort of a new trick and test it out with them. So I always bring between 8 and 10 tricks. I do between 3 and 4, maybe 5, depending on the group, effects per group. And I spend between 5 to 10 minutes with each group. Again, it all depends on how long you're there and how many people are in the event. What tricks to bring? Well, what tricks are you good at? What tricks do you love performing, right? Don't bring 10 card tricks, right? Have a variety of tricks that will appeal to a variety of audiences. Some people hate card tricks. Some people love coin tricks, right? Bring a variety. Bring some rope tricks, some card tricks, some mentalism tricks. Just bring a good, meaty variety of effects. Make sure they're ones that you can do with your eyes closed, that you've done a million times and that you know inside and out. That's not to say don't try new material there. I always bring 2 tricks that I can try out. If I'm inventing something new, I'll feel out the group. Hey, these guys seem really, really fun. You mind if I show you guys something brand new I haven't shown anyone yet? And I'll drop that on them. More often than not, they'll be like, heck yeah, we want to see a new trick. It also allows you the ability to fail. If it's a new trick and you're just trying it out, you've just told them that. Well, if you screw up, you say, hey, I'm still working on it, like I said. So it doesn't mean you have to know them all inside and out, but the majority of what you're going to show those groups, know cold, know with your eyes shut. And that's the advice I can give you for strolling. It's my favorite kind of magic. You get to walk around, mingle with people, be personal with people. But just remember, always remember that the magic is a gift from us to them. Now, yeah, we're being hired and we're hired talent for the event. But the magic itself is something that we're giving to them as a gift. It's not about us. It's not about us and all the practice we've done. It's about the feeling that we can create together with these people, right? Hey, let's share something really fun together. So if you go there and you're not so much thinking about me, and I hope they don't catch me, I hope they don't see me screw up a move, I hope I don't screw up, and you have the mentality of, I really hope I'm able to bring some joy to this event. I'm really hoping I can make people smile and wonder and laugh with my magic. I hope I can share my magic with these people so we all have a good time. It's a great mentality to keep when you're driving to the gig, when you're at the gig. Remember, it's about us, right? That's what we're being hired to do. We're being hired to entertain and give a feeling of community at this event. So I hope there's some advice in there that you guys can take away that you can use. As always, we really appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next one.